Mr. Thomas, teachers, parents, and fellow students. Wow, what a ride it's been the last 7 years. From our first day at kindy with chubby cheeks and cheesy grins to right here, right now, as we sit here looking fabulous. If I could go back in time and talk to myself as a kindergarten, I would say, you'll win, you'll fall, you'll make friends, and then you'll lose some. But above all, you will grow and you will learn. I would also say, don't worry if you can't spell. You'll discover spell check. So, as we're leaving Claremont, let's go on a ride down memory lane and visit some of the best memories of our time at Claremont. 2007, kindergarten, with Mrs. McCowan, Mrs. Mitchell, and the lovable Mrs. Ford. But who could forget our darling buddies, the ones that cared for us, loved us, and were our best friends for the first year. And now that's our favourite job. In year 1, we had Mr. Scott and Mrs. Breakspear. We were so excited to have new fish. I remember how sad we were when our first fish died. I remember Miss Breakspear politely saying, please limit the feeding to just once an hour. I remember we didn't have any idea why they were dying. I think by the end of the year we sort of got the idea when we had 1 fish left out of 7. Well, that was the year that Mr. Thomas and Mrs. Ford became principal and deputy. In year 2, we experienced the first of Mr. Thomas's many renovations. 2W had to move across the road to the small space at the bottom of Clondire. Despite it being cramped and having to share desks and put pencil cases on pianos and windowsills, we had a fantastic year, and we owe our teacher a thank you. In year 3, we had Mr. Larby and Mrs. Ford. We were faced with our first real camp away from home. Though there was one particular activity which everyone was looking forward to. It involved being harnessed and then being strapped up to a big metal chair and being thrown into the abyss. When I say abyss, I mean like 100 metres into the distance. But when you're in year 3, abyss is 100 metres. Hands up if you remember the giant swing. Yeah, I still remember the rush I got going on that today. It was great fun. We also got some renovations in our playground. A giant fig tree was cut down. It was really sad for everyone. But it was all for the better because it was going to become an issue. And it inspired a great concert called Big Trouble at Fig Tree Hill. And I'm sure you would agree, that was a great concert. In year 4, we had great fun with Mr. Scott and Miss Wilson. We did our first dance fever and went on 3 camps. We had the we had our environmental camp at the beginning of the year at Bateman's Bay. We had our dad's camp, and then we had a Crusaders camp, a great camp to end a great year. And then there was year 5, the year that many of you tonight are in. And that was a year of growing. We were really pushed to do more than we'd ever done before. Pushed to do more homework, pushed to become better leaders, and pushed to give up more weekends to do SK Austins. But all this hard work was all for the better in year 6, where we had brand new classrooms, thanks to some more renovations, great co-teachers, fantastic buddies, and lots of freedom. And my personal favourite, warm lunches with microwave rice. But this whole journey is thanks to some amazing people. Now, some of them are the office ladies. We know them for mending our bloody knees and handing in our notes on time. But what they're really for is all the behind-the-scenes work. In my role this year, I've seen a lot of behind-the-scenes work. And they're there to make sure Mr. Thomas has something to do every minute of the day. They make everyone look organised and they make everything run smoothly. So thanks to them. Thank you to Mrs. Palmer, who made us eager winners but graceful losers. In 7 years, that's 21 carnivals, a carnival hasn't been rained out once. That is pretty impressive. Thanks, Mrs. Palmer. To Mrs. Gellan, who picked out some amazing books which we now treasure. He gave us heaps of tips on how to study. Mrs. Gellan, our fantastic technology teacher, who ensured that we left year 6 confident with every device we touched, and most of the apps on them too. Thanks, Mrs. Gellan. We now teach our parents how to use these. To Mrs. Hennessy, our amazing music teacher. Our year 6 assembly wouldn't have been half as great without her, and that's saying a lot. To Mrs. Sao, who made learning Chinese fun and introduced a new language and culture. Share. And to the support teachers and extension teachers, Mrs. Wyatt and Mrs. Bokos, Miss Thompson, and now Miss Affleck. I personally need to say thank you, as I have experienced the best of both these worlds, and I can tell you this is one of Claremont's strong points. When you're falling behind, they really support you, and when you're excelling, they pile on the homework and push you further than you've ever done before. And then to all the teachers who have ever taught us along the years, but especially to Mr. Larby and Mrs. Bedbeder. This dynamic duo was constantly working to each other's strengths to ensure that we had the best Year 6 year ever. Mr. Larby, Mrs. Bedbeder, I now am talking on the behalf of Year 6. Thank you very much for how special you have made our last year at Claremont. We will never forget you. And how you managed to control our whole year using dots still amazes me. I mean, halfway through the year, Mr. Larby went out to get a baby, Alexis. We have our theory on how she got her name. That's probably what he would have been driving if he hadn't have had her. And finally, to Mr. Thomas and Mrs. Ford. Thank you very much for leading our school with inspiration and vision. We are all in awe of your renovation skills. And finally, to the Year 5s. I'm glad to be leaving the school in great hands. As I heard your speeches this morning, I'm sure that anyone who's chosen to lead this school will be a great choice. And I'm glad to be leaving the school in your hands. As I conclude tonight, I can see some sad faces. But I want to leave you with something which I hope you remember forever. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Thank you.
Good evening, teachers, parents and students. Since coming to Claremont in Year 4, I've had so many funny and great memories with my classmates. There's been dad's camp, school musical, big bus trip, family fun night, meeting our little buddies and making the best friends ever. For me and many other Year 6 students, camp and sport gala days have been highlights every year. Camp gave brilliant opportunities to spend late nights and early morning with our friends and teachers. A highlight this year would have to be watching a few of the boys capsize their boat. The food in Canberra will be remembered, but was definitely not a highlight. In Year 5, the highlights were playing rugby at 7 a.m. in a misty freezing morning at Bathurst. We were told later by the teachers it was -5 degrees. We also loved playing the Hunger Games and the Giant Swing. The Hunger Games was special for me because it was my first camp. The Illawarra Fly was great and heaps of kids got leeches on them, which was funny for most and a bit scary for others. Sport gala days are always lots of fun and it's great to have an opportunity to represent Claremont against other schools. One of my early memories is of the Year 4 Rugby Gala Day. We played a few tough games, made some fantastic tries and defended hard. We got to the quarterfinals only to be beaten by one try that had come off a really obvious knock-on. Our team was devastated. Some were angry, some of us were holding back tears, and some of us weren't holding back tears.
Yeah, that's me.
Mr. Payton, our coach, made us huddle together and he told us to look at each other and feel proud for the passionate team spirit that we had created. I loved that moment and I truly knew I was where I belonged. The friendships that we have made at Claremont have been amazing. Having joined in Year 4, I know how friendly and welcoming this year is, and I thank you all. I hope our friendships will continue even though we're going to different high schools. As we prepare to leave Claremont College, I know that some of us are feeling sad and to be leaving behind teachers and friends and the safety of what we know and love. We thank all of the fantastic teachers for caring for us and for looking after us. We especially thank Mrs. Bedbeder and Mr. Larby for putting up with us this year and trying to get us ready for high school. Finally, I wish everyone a great start at high school in 2014 and say thank you once again to every teacher at Claremont for making our time here so amazing. And a few other people that we should thank are our parents. So 3 cheers for our parents. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!